Hello everybody, as you can see I'm having a terrible time here in Mexico. I hope you're all enjoying uni. Right now I'm actually in Dean's idea of paradise. I'm in Puerto Escondido, which is like a beach in Mexico, and it's Semana Santa, which is spring break for Mexicans, which means cheap beer, lots of food and lots of drunk Mexican girls. Short, hairy and brown, just like Dean likes them, actually. Actually, it's been quite difficult to get all this video stuff together, but I knew Dean would do it for me if he was over in Mexico, and it's always a pleasure to do something back for Dean, who's someone who is more than willing to help you out. I've got a few stories that I think say a bit about Dean's character, and which are also quite funny, so I'm going to share them with you. The first one really speaks about Dean's incredible capacity to drink, which is rivaled by probably no other except for the one and only Nicholas Schiller. And this story about Dean's drinking is one of my old favourites, and it happened in about year 10, New Year's Eve. And just after the kiddies fireworks at 9 o'clock, Dean was already paralytic in Birchgrove Oval. At 12 o'clock, he was completely and utterly wasted and doing that weird thing he does when he's drunk, where he like sticks his tongue out and slobbers all over you and gets all creepy, especially with girls. So I thought, I'm going to get him home and get him out of here before he does something silly. And I got a cab and I told the cab driver, okay, we're going to go to Haberfield first and then we're going to take my friend to Croydon after. When we got to Haberfield, the taxi said he refused to take my friend any further because Dean had spent the last 20 minutes with his head out the window unconscious, trying not to puke all over himself. So I got Dean out of the cab and sat him on my front porch and went and got my dad to give Dean a lift home back to his house. At about 5 minutes later, my dad came out and Dean was still sitting there on my front porch, not talking, just in a right state. So we chucked him in the back of the car and me and my dad were in the front. Dean said nothing basically the whole trip. He was basically completely unconscious until we started looming near Croydon Macca's. And Dean has a sixth sense for Macca's, as many of you will know, especially when he's drunk. And about 10 metres before Croydon Macca's, Dean snapped out of his unconscious stupor and leaned forward and tapped my dad on the shoulder and said, Tony, Macca's, we've got to go to Macca's. And my dad said, no, mate, we've got to get you home, you're really drunk, we don't have time to go to Macca's. And Dean really started pushing it. Tony, come on, we've got to go to Macca's, I'm really hungry, I'm feeling a bit sick. Yeah, I've got some money. Oh, no, I don't have any money, but Tony, I'll pay you back tomorrow. And my dad was saying, no, mate, we're going to get you home. Dean kept asking, and then we just passed the exit to Macca's and the point of no return. And Dean watched the arches with sad, longing eyes, and then all the way back to the house, still kept asking about Macca's. Dad, Tony, turn around, please, take us back to Macca's. We dropped him off at his house and watched him for 5 minutes, try to find his keys at the front door, and then watched him for another 5 minutes trying to stumble through the side part of his house, climbing over bush and tripping all over himself. Another thing apart from Dean's drinking, another really strong character trait of Dean and a love of Dean is his love for festivals. And more than his love for festivals, his love for taking all his clothes off at these festivals and showing off his hot, greasy, recently waxed body. At field day about 2 years ago, Dean was chock-a-block already at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and of course had his red dick stickers underneath and took all his clothes off except for these dick stickers and was walking around parading, letting all the girls touch his greasy, hot, recently waxed body. Dean lost a couple of things today. He lost all his clothes, his phone, his wallet, and then a bit later on he lost his shit. And he was found after field day on George Street in nothing but his red budgie smugglers outside Ivy, pestering the bouncer to get into Ivy Pool. I think, and which brings me to the last story, this love for festivals and for getting naked also comes from what Dean is at heart, and which is a real Greek boy. And you see this in Dean a lot, his passion for food and for doing weird kind of Zorba dances, even though there's not Zorba music playing, and having a rowdy old time. And one of my favourite stories about Dean's real Greekness is when we were in Southwest Rocks, and as you know there, the locals there are quite, a little bit aggressive, and the Moddy boys sometimes, get into trouble with these boys in Southwest Rocks and in general. And anyway, we were sitting at the table in Southwest Rocks with Dean, some of his cousins, and his yaya. And Dean's yaya wisely said, "Dean, you don't want to go out in Southwest Rocks and get bashed up by these locals." And Dean was sitting here just like this, leaning back in his chair, and he looked at his yaya in all seriousness, and he said this, "Yaya, I'm the one who does the bashing." And for me, that was a pretty funny and shining moment of Dean's real Greekness that comes out sometimes. Apart from his drinking and his festivals and his love for getting naked and his Greekness, in as few words as possible, Dean is one of the best mates you'll ever have. And for me, I've known him a long time, and he's put up with all my shit without ever giving me shit back. And I'm sure many of you have noticed that. He's the nicest guy you ever meet, which everyone says. And he's down to earth, and he's got time for everybody. And apart from when he gets drunk and he does that weird thing where he goes, "Eh," and slobbers all over you and gets all creepy with everyone, apart from that, he's almost impossible to fault. Dean, happy 21st birthday, man. It's been a pleasure since I met you first, and you were that skinny little Greek boy with a weird afro and really, really, really skinny chicken legs. It's been a pleasure, man, and I'm sad I couldn't be there, but I'm sure you're going to have a great night. And I'd like to now do a little cyber toast to Dean. So if everyone could raise their glasses and to Dean and his 21st birthday. So I hope that cyber cheese went well. Right now I'm off to party down on the beach or do something fun. I'm sure you guys have uni soon or something like that. But have a great night, and I'll see you all soon. Happy 21st birthday, Dean.